Welcome back to Bennett's Garage. Some of you may remember when I built Plan B when my original S10 was rear-ended, and Plan B came along. I picked the vehicle up for $3,000. Gutted the white S10 and then switched it all over, making this the 383. Old school Chevy 383. Really good running truck. Been working on it, getting it painted. And I decided I wanted to go with a Turbo LS engine instead. But I'm so close to getting this one finished in paint, I decided not to tear this vehicle up and start fresh. Entered the new vehicle for this build series. I'm going to call this one Moby, the Great White Turd. I greatly overpaid for it. I know I did. It was dark when I bought it. It didn't show very much signs of damage. The bumper's in the back. It was parked a long ways along the fence over on this side, so I really didn't see this side. The guy said I already had a V8 in it, and he already had half the swap done. It has a ZR2 rear suspension in it. However, after I paid the guy and start pulling around from the fence, I start seeing all this damage. So I'm not quite sure what to do. I'm sure these will just pop out. You have one here, two here. Other than green, what is that? Pontiac Grand Am rims on it, some crap like that. Interior is still here, surprisingly. Has a tack in it, some other gauges, a B&M shifter. I don't really think I'm going to be saving much in there. I'm probably going to be gutting it all. If you'd like to see this one be built, follow along. Some of the stuff that I had to go with in order to do this swap. This is going to be the passenger side turbo flange, T4 divided. Each pipe is separate, so this is one side, its own wastegate. This is the other side, its own wastegate. Only thing I'm not a big fan of, it is a straight 90-degree off, so I could overboost the turbo because it's a 90. I don't really like that too much, but it is what it is. The new steering shaft to get extra clearance. This is the set of headers I had to get for the clearance for the steering shaft. Of course, I only need the driver's side. I will not be using the passenger side. A couple wastegates and blow-off valves, cheap and cheesy. Things to bolt attach the headers on. Extra clamp for the turbos. The Y pipe, or the pipe that goes from one side to the other. Because this goes like that, off this side, wraps around to the other side of the head. The new oil pan came with a pickup tube, dipstick, cradle. I mean, it came with everything. So I'm actually kind of impressed with that. I still have the turbos hiding in the back and a back box back there. So that's going to be a different video. Right now it's going to be fitting the manifolds up to the engine itself. One of the first things I just came across is my hooker headers, which are supposed to be a direct fit, actually hit my high-end ARP head studs. So I either have to demolish my ARP studs by cutting them off at the tips, or take them completely out and put down new studs. If I take them out one at a time and put a new stud in, I shouldn't be losing that much. Yeah, I don't like that idea. I think I might just cut it for the fitment, because here, these bad boys are heavy. If you look right here, give me a second here. Yeah, right there. Of course, I'm not, my finger's stuck. Ow, 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 ow. Okay, so, right there. Hitting there, we're hitting all the way around. And you can see there's my hole and there's my hole. I'm not even over far enough, and I'm already hitting. And because these are cast, you can't beat these in. Oh, they have these little notches. And them little notches are not deep enough for my ARP studs. There's two things I had to do. Is just trim down that one little bolt. None of the other ones I had to do it. But that one bolt there, that had to be trimmed. And then on the manifold itself, has like a little raised edge. I just took off just a snip of the tip, and now we have clearance. After getting the driver's side on and fitting correctly, I started coming over here to the passenger side, and I see we're nice and snug in here. I started getting a little bit of a gap going on in my deck. Then as we come up to here, the gap is pretty mighty. So I'm gonna have to break up my belt sander and sand that flush, because I think it warped in the mold, because it's definitely not flat. Now that they got the passenger side on, it took me about 45 minutes to sand that true, which I did. I got a hose coming in through the back. I'm not tightened down yet. I'm hoping I can use it here and get it out of the way far enough. I still have clearance for this. If this doesn't work, I'm gonna have to tie in to the oil pump or oil filter, which is over here on this side. I'm gonna tie into this right here. Take this off, and there's a little tie-in. Then I have to wrap it all the way around the engine to come over here. So I'm really hoping this piece of oil coming out is gonna be better than down there. Don't know yet until I get it into the car. The crossover pipe itself, I can't really test fit because, well, it's on the stand. I don't know quite sure how it's gonna go. It's made to work with the factory header, truck header, but I'm not using a factory truck header because factory truck header doesn't fit in the S10 or Sonoma. So I'm gonna have to modify it to fit the hooker header. And that bad boy snugs oh so tightly. Very good quality. Other than, you know, fitment issues with the ARP bolts. This one, no issues with ARP bolts. However, I can see it's gonna be a little weird getting the spark plug boots on. I don't know if I want to use a ceramic boot cover or the other type of covers to get the heat away. But something's going to have to, I'm going to have to figure something out, because that's going to be a tight fit for the spark plug wires. This also had the wrong throttle body on it. I have electric throttle body. The Holley Terminator Max Pro, Holley Terminator Max kit I bought for the standalone unit is for a drive-by cable, not drive-by wire, so this has to go. Other than that, I still have to pull the oil pan off, and this is actually a built 4L80E, but yeah, it's a 4x4 unit. One thing I had to do is get some zip ties and tie each one of the coil wires, plug wires, away from the header itself. If I didn't do that, it would be sitting directly on it, and I don't want that. I also got to build some kind of shield to go from the turbo over the wires altogether and shield it down. Get some kind of thin aluminum and try to build something just to shield, because that big exhaust pipe's going to come straight over all of it and then come out. So yeah, I got to build something aluminum thin to reduce the heat going to the coils and reduce the possibility of misfire. With the engine upside down, I was able to cut off the factory flange for the crossover pipe and weld on my own. It goes to the hooker header, so it's going to go like that and come over to there. So now this is going to be perfectly lined up. I had to do a few cuts and cross turns and yada yada yada. So now that's perfectly fine. Next thing I really got to do is find turbo's going to be sitting here, come down. Thinking right about here is going to be my turbo drain plug. But if you look inside, I have that pipe. It's right in front of me. So another option would be right here in the very front with a 90 or a slight angled one. And because if I do that, there's nothing in the front that's going to block me. So the front might be an option, but that's probably going to be my best choice. So I looked out the way the pan sits. I don't have to bend the tube or anything to go on, only because this came out, giving me the perfect spot to put the plug in. Now, I suck at aluminum welding. I have no want or need to do it. I'll hire out if I have to, but that's what it's going to look like with it on. And there we go. Oil drain back plug. Alright, putting the 88, I'm sorry, this is the 78 millimeter, 78-75 millimeter by VS Racing. I also fitted on some cheapy wastegates. I don't know if I'm actually going to use them or just for mock-up at the moment. I'm still having consideration if my coil packs are going to fit fine with the heat. Might have to build a shield or something to block the heat from the coil packs. So the reason why we have two wastegates is this is a log manifold and it is separated from one side to the other. So the tube wraps around, goes up in this side, then this side is on the other one, so you have the two. This one is beautiful because it is 90 degrees out. I mean, it's straight out, versus this one is a 90. And this one might not work too good. But everything else is looking good in my opinion until we get it into the vehicle and start doing some other testing. It looks like this will work in my favor. My little banjo clamp. They'll go straight in. I do have fittings for this. It's just sitting in the house. Now, if this one isn't big enough, I do have the big boy, which is the 88, and it is quite a bit bigger. Okay, so here's the size difference between the 78 and the 88. It's quite a bit different, and of course, T6 versus T4 flange that's on it. I'm hoping I don't have to use this one. It might be a little bit too big. This does have the slip joint on it where I can actually clock the turbo the way I want it. This one does not. So this one I'm going to have to unbolt, turn it, and I'm hoping, because it's facing the wrong direction. I need it the other direction. This should be pointing that way. So guess I should have paid more attention when I bought it. Needless to say, it is what it is. Now that we got Moby all washed up, she doesn't look such like a turd as much. But we get to see how bad the previous owner chopped this thing up. Now, he claimed it had a 383 in it, and you can see he did make the proper cut for a 350. He did look like he hit up here with a hammer, making the clearance for the transmission. He used 2-inch exhaust instead of 2.5 or 3-inch, which to each their own. I'm pulling out the transmission. It's a 2500 stall, which is good for the 700 R4, which is in it, or the 4L60. The torque converter can go either way. So for me, I am going to finish ripping out the AC, pull off the coolant tanks, pull out the inner fender wells, pull off the whole front support, take off the front fenders. I'm taking everything off so I have absolute access to everything. Brakes got to go, wiring looms got to go. I'm not reusing anything that he previous had. You see he already cut up his core support, so I'm not even going to use that core support. I am going to use an aftermarket core support and see where that takes me. I think I'm going to get rid of the brake booster on this one and go with the power steering fluid booster style, the hydraulic fluid booster, to give me the clearance. You can find them in the 2500, you can find them in the Cadillacs. They're pretty easy to come by. So yeah, let's get this puppy up in the air, get that transmission out, take the exhaust off, and start ripping this thing apart. So I can definitely tell the previous owner lied to me. He said that he had a professional muffler shop do this work, and I'm sorry, but if you're a professional muffler shop and you do this, you don't need to be in business. This is all newbie stuff. This is stuff that you buy up there at O'Reilly's or Advance Auto and make your own. This is not professional. So it all is going to be cut out anyways. Transmission's coming out now. You can see they didn't even try to make this work properly. They just hacked it. So I'm going to need probably another cross member. I might just buy one. Yeah. So right now it's just being gutted. Cut it out, whatever you have to do, because we're not using it again. It's easier to go ahead and start taking out your inner fender well at the same time as doing your front core support, because they're all kind of tied in the same spots. So, you know, fender, core support, this is core support here. So I'm going to be taking off outer fender, inner fender, hood, everything I can get off just to give me the most access to the inside where I need to get. So in doing so, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start ripping all the bolts out of the inside, all the bolts out of the outside, and start pulling off the core support itself, getting it out of the way. You see the rusty thing on the back? That's 10 millimeters. Really long. Right by your fingers. Attached to the fender. That thing right there. Yeah.
These two.
Yep. You can take your whole ABS system out, unplug it. And we will not be reusing it. Again, you don't have to be nice about it. We're not reusing it.
Just pull.
Basically. I mean,
Pull it apart.
yeah, how many wires are on it? You got another one?
It's got this red. Never mind. It just came loose. Well.
Yeah, just don't beat up my fenders. That's one thing I do care about. Nope. Got a pair of dikes? Cut them off. Right here, dikes. Alrighty. Well, at least in theory I'm going to slide it in. That's not.
Big smile.
That's right about where it needs to go. Need to go back a little bit more. Of course, I don't have no motor mounts in there right now. Alright, I am going to start going down. You can put a hand right here on the turbo.
Just to steady it.
You might have to push this way a little bit.
Okay.
I'll be looking over there. That's about as far as we can go. We're going to hit the cross member. So I got to go about a little bit more. We got plenty of room back there. That's what my chain's going to hit. How's the motor mount fit? Actually, that would be about right. So with that being said, that's about where it's going to sit. I think we got plenty of room. With the engine mounted and this turbo flange on the passenger side on, I noticed that the crossover pipe we're hitting frame. So I can either notch frame to make clearance, or I can do a pie-shaped cut in this and arch it over more, getting it away from the frame. Which one's the lesser of two evil? I think the pipe is my best bet, because even if I screw up on the pipe, I can always make another. If I screw up on the frame, there's no going back. So I think I'm going to pie cut the pipe and see exactly where I come out at, because honestly, I already cut all my other pipes to make this thing fit as if it was going to fit perfectly. It's not no more, so I'm going to be recreating my entire crossover pipe anyways. As we're putting on the coil packs, we're finding out that the one for the driver's side is having issues with fitment with the brake booster. So either we're gonna have to do a relocation for this, or we're gonna have to eliminate the brake booster and go someplace else. So I know taking off the brake booster is a absolute pain in the butt. It was on the other one. So I don't really want to relocate the coils, because I have the Holley Terminator X Max that I've been putting on this thing. So I think it's going to come down to taking that booster off and either going hydro, which runs off the power steering pump, or going absolute manual brakes. One of the two. To be continued. Now that we test fit the motor and everything seems to be decently lined up, I'm going to pull it back out, hook the transmission to it, and the flywheel, and flex plate. And while it's out, go ahead and start working on getting the booster out and start cleaning everything up for the next assembly. This is coming off. I ordered a whole new setup where the power steering pump's going to be up high and the alternator's going to be way out here compared to this design. I just don't like it being so close here. I'm just going to completely redesign it. So that's going to be the end of this video for now. The next video, you should be seeing the removal of the dreaded brake booster, which suck. Thanks for watching.